I have actually thought a lot about what Magic Carpets is about. I know what the project is on paper, but I think that there's something much richer and deeper that isn't on the paper. And I think that's to do with human connection, relationships, friends, love. It's really, really important to make those connections cross-border. For Magic Carpets, I was in a bit of a strange place in my life. I hadn't found really my true voice in terms of my artwork. I came to Lithuania with a really open heart and mind. I think my work in Lithuania really helped to reduce my crazy head down to a single form of artwork, I guess, which is what I make now. I met Ista for the first time in Kaunas. Had a lot in common and became good friends. And then when she came over to Folkestone, she made an installation through her own creative practice. Ista's work really interests me, but it was really far from what I was doing. Her work is really different to mine, but I really love her work, to do with sense and touch.
Man šis projektas buvo kaip geras tramplinas, būtent tyrinėjimui, svorio savoka. Tai kai aš nuėjau pas Žikubą į šokio pamoką, tai aš pajaučiau kažkokį, kad panašią kokybę, kurioje ir aš dirbu. Tai net nelabai galiu nusakyti žodžiais, bet tam tikrą kažkokį būdą, gal net ir bendravimą, tam tikrą su žmonėm, priėjimą prie pačio šokio, judesio. Jaučiau tą tokį jautrumą jo ir įsitraukimą į šitą darbą. Tai man buvo labai kažkaip smagu tai matyti ir man tai buvo labai artima. Kad ne tik padeda, bet ir įsitraukia, nori suvokti tai, ką aš darau ir kaip jis gali prisidėti prie tos mano kūrybos. Tai man atrodo labai svarbu apskritai ne tik menininkam, bet ir visiems žmonėms turėti tą bendrystę, kad ne tik aš savo darau, bet ir noriu prisidėti ir noriu kažkaip net ir mokintis galbūt iš kito.
Why was it important? Because that's what we do, you know, in life. When I came over to Kaunas and was working on my project, I chose Ista because she had a strong identity and voice, and that's really what drew me to her. I was thinking about femininity, women, and her voice was one that intrigued me, and I wanted to know more about her story. In our rehearsals, lots of the time we just improvise together for, an hour or two. And sometimes we didn't speak the whole time, we just moved, which was really lovely. She has informed my creative process even to now. My experiences with Magic Carpet and working in Kaunas has definitely impacted me a big way. I've made friends for life, definitely, and hopefully future collaborations will come from that. I guess I'm probably just not really the same person I was when I went there, because I was much more shy, and it's given me so much confidence, and I've found integrity in my work. I feel really much better about the work that I make now, and that's the magic, really.
In Kaunas and in Lithuania, we felt a gap in community involvement and cultural participation, like participatory culture. And that's why we initiated Magic Carpets among our partners in Europe, trying to convince ourselves that we can change the climate in society to make people more open for culture. On the street, in their courtyard, in their suburb, outside city center, to participate at culture events. Magic Carpets is like Arab fairy tale story about 1001 Night. Princess Shahrazada told fairy tales to her husband in order not to be punished and to stop her husband's anger. So she has to improvise and tell many stories. And that's how Magic Carpets project started, because we were very curious about personal stories about people from other European countries, how they live. Our method was to invite emerging and young artists and young curators, but the main goal is to extend audiences, to work with communities who usually do not go to national theaters, to not go to museums or galleries just by going beside. But with artists to go into communities outside city centers, outside cities even, to some small villages or to some communities with less possibilities, and to make professional, cultural and artistic interventions, but inclusive ones, to listen to people, to listen their stories and to make art about them. To start such a huge project for 4 years, including so many people, now we count thousands of participants in Magic Carpets. We started from what we had at that moment. So we had to ensure we have more than 10 international partners from different European countries. And believe me, it's not an easy task. We had to find emerging curators who mostly never worked with communities. They used to work with professional artists and only starting to work with professional artists. Then curators had to find artists who would be willing to even try to work not in the theater stage or rehearsal hall at their studio, but to dare and go into public space or some community house or some school to work with people who they never knew before and to invite them to create together. It was a lot of uncertainty in the beginning for everyone. And uncertainty lasts till now, and it's very normal sense and emotion. And it really helps to be sincere and not to lie to yourself that you know better, because nobody knows better how other person lives, what he thinks, what he feels. So it actually was some kind of capacity building platform for everyone who participated.
We have been working with the community of around the Jam Factory Art Center through arts. It was one of the objectives of the Magic Carpets platform, that you develop the artistic activities, but also you need to connect to the community. Learning that about the project, I thought it's a great possibility of joining this group of people and implementing what we wanted. Second point of my motivation was that we are an organization that is at the beginning of our development, and it's very important to have very strong and good partners to interact, to give a possibility of learning about what we are doing here, and as well to getting acquainted with different practices around Europe.
Speaking about residency, last year it called I Am Where I'm Fine. And thinking about this name, we also try to everybody to understand what it is I'm fine, about the place, about internal feelings as well. Using this subvertising approach in art, we try to reclaim that the city is for different groups of people. We invited artists from Italy, from Rome, Jacopo Anatoli and Guandalina Salini. We also invited local artists, one from Kyiv, Irina Ruzina, she's a performer, and another one from Lviv, he's a media artist, Serhiy Petlyuk. So all of artists had a common topic, but they work in their own workshops and programs they created for the children. Children didn't work with the artists to learn how to use some of medium, but mostly they tried to reflect on the questions, on the processes, and try to describe that transformation they had inside of their personalities, and to show this found new skills or new powers as a superheroes, let's say, and they translated this into the different mediums, for example, in drawings, in masks or costumes.
This place is really colorful, beautiful, and we have some memories with this place. One of our workshops were happening here. We were glue posters to the walls of street, and this was really interesting and fun.
We had to create some stuff together. Sometimes it was quite hard because there are different peoples, they have different tastes, different imaginary, so it was quite hard sometimes, but at all it was really interesting.
I can learn something new. This was first time when I do something with clay or draw graffitis, even if it was on the paper. In this place, in this playground, we were glue our posters.
About that wall, there were a lot of people which were coming to us, arguing with us that we are doing something illegal, doing something wrong, like sticking this stuff on walls. It was like very bad thing, like we were just ring all city, like just putting some little spot on the wall, and it was like ruined all. But for someone it was really cool because they were just going, taking photos with these posters, I mean, and with us, like, you did it? Oh, can I take photo with you? One of the best memories of all this project.
It's really cool when someone older can work with someone youngest. They are like in the same level and they could work with each other, and it's just really cool. What I learned from this Italian artist is not to be afraid to show your opinion, show your ideas, to dream. You cannot be afraid that someone will say that it is bad or that it is not cool. It's just your opinion and you cannot be afraid to show it for others.
Project with Sergei Petliuk was about problems of city and benefits of city. I joined this project of making an installation because it was interesting for me to do something else at summer instead of playing computer games all the time. It was really interesting because we saw the problems of our city, so we could think about what we can do to change our city. We filmed a lot of videos. We used boxes from this old market where I'm sitting now to make the shen for our film. We constructed a structure of these boxes and other rubbish. I can make you see the boxes like this. Also, we used old paper to cover them. Then we project our films. I learned that my city isn't ideal, but it isn't also really bad, because there are a lot of beautiful things, but also a lot of problems. I want to continue these projects like this because it makes my city better. I like really my city, and I want that it will become like other cities of Europe, like Budapest or Paris. Everyone says that Lviv is small Paris, but I want that it will become a real Paris, beautiful like other cities.
We tried with children to research what does it mean public space, and who is owner of public space, and to whom public space belongs. What does it mean limits of public space? Big city developing, and people have less and less freedom. The topic of borders is like my life conception. I respect borders, not just like borders is evil, no. I want to feel that public space, it's my partner, not my enemy and not my boss. So I want to have a comfortable relationship with all around me. We made some artificial limits by a stop tape. Just observed what happened after that and what was the reactions of people, how they can influence life in public space. We had some practice with sticks, how to say, something to find balance, something like that. We used sticks to connect each other and feel each other moving and creating something with our bodies. It gave them more confidence to go out from our space in this gallery.
Siobhan approached me to take part in her Magic Carpets residency that she was doing here in Folkestone. She approached me as a filmmaker who's previously collaborated with performers and dance artists before. She invited me to work with her in this environment here on the Warren in Folkestone. Siobhan is a dance artist who works in a very interesting way, the sensations of the body. There was really this very interesting invitation to become part of her daily rhythm and her daily process. We woke up before dawn, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, arrive here on these rocks in time for sunrise. I would spend time with her here and work with my camera and try to explore what she was exploring, but through a lens, really, to try and find different ways of capturing her interactions with this landscape. One of the incredible things is the quality of experience that she works in, how she works. And there is a kind of really beautiful silence to her process that allows you really to fully experience something. Kind of magic was really about learning and remembering that when you really spend time somewhere and you really stop and be somewhere in silence, how much more you hear and how much more you see when you allow yourself that time and space to be in a place. So after working with Siobhan in Folkestone as her local artist, I was then invited to take on my own residency in Zagreb to work in a courtyard in central Zagreb. Used to have a thriving community and then had become more of a car park actually for the centre of the town. I ended up working very closely with a group of girls associated with the courtyard. We spent time with, and I did a number of workshops with around games, thinking about the history of the courtyard, what games were played there, but also using games as a way to try and interact with the local community as a subject that everyone has a perspective on, everyone has some experience of. One thing that's quite interesting, having had both of those experiences as a local artist and as a kind of residency artist, was, I suppose, the sense of being part of a wider community. So you felt as though you were being enveloped in different layers of the Magic Carpets programme somehow. One of the most valuable lessons that I took from both my experience as a local artist and as a residency artist was how important it is to bring yourself into your artistic process. And I think that I needed that encouragement to do that in my work more and more. The beauty of this experience, it's the encounters that you have with everyone you meet. How important that is in shaping your work and learning from other people's practice and learning from other people's approach to making work and making work with communities.
Bye. Thank you for taking part.
The magic that is there is often invisible or often goes unnoticed, but it's very valuable, and it sows seeds, it plants seeds that grow even if they're not acknowledged. I hope the seeds keep on being sown.
My name is Vasara. I'm a dancer. I've been doing that I started dancing when I was 4, and now I'm working with mantas. We are doing creative movement laboratory with, usually we work with people with disabilities, and we kind of try to explore different ways of moving. During the lockdown, I came back to Lithuania, and mantas was, would you like to continue this kind of work here in Lithuania? And I was more than happy to do so. Then we decided to do a project in Lithuania. So we kind of organized collaboration with Korys Center. Last year we did a 3-week project with them, focusing mostly on creative movement. So very little technique, freeing ourselves and finding different ways of moving and exploring movement.
Dance is one of the things that it's never kind of like a routine, because your body is always doing different kind of stuff and you can be always creative. They want the things, they open to the new things, they're not afraid of it.
Having great dance technique is very inclusive, so you have to have specific body, you have to look certain way, you have to move certain way, so dance technique can sometimes be very strict. So we decided to get rid of that and focus more on various tasks. So therefore we chose different objects, for example, elastics, tennis balls, mostly focusing on working with imagination. You explore different ways of moving, which kind of helps you to connect your mind and your body, and you have this better relationship with yourself. So that can be very empowering. We are focusing with people with disabilities because for a long time, I think personally, it might not be truth, but from my observations, I think for a long time, especially in Lithuania, people with disabilities were always kind of behind the scenes. We don't see them, outside and being independent, because we kind of have this perception that, they're not able to do things, which is not truth, in my opinion. And dance and movement is one way of empowering them. MagiC Carpets is a very important project for me personally because it's such a great platform, and it was my very first opportunity to share my ideas and hopes with a lot of people.
My dream, maybe I could see to be that I would find more people from my contemporary dance community to be involved and somehow to find more centers like Korys, or it could be like the schools that we can go and work and share this. I could see, yes, this joy, because dance is something that is making me feel free and comfortable in my body,
It would be interesting to see more artists working with disabilities and exploring that. But it also would be very exciting to see working with disabled artists, empowering them and seeing how can we help them to, be independent.
And what I like about project to work with the special needs, that I see this really as an endless ocean, because you can go even deeper and deeper and deeper. Like I see when you work with the people with the Down syndrome. If you want to get more focus in that, there is one way that you could have different kind of methods to work with them. People with the autism is totally different spectrum, so I could dive there and there and there, and it would be really interesting. So I do happy, and I hope that I know that I'm gonna continue, that, and to get to know the world better.
Thinking what is behind this concept and this idea, I start to think about people that make this project possible, that make it a reality. So all the curators, all the artists, all the project managers, directors, all the local communities that make this MagiC community together. Over the 4 years, we implemented more than 80 projects. If we take into account this year, it's maybe even coming closer to 100 projects. It just shows how many different ways of working, how many different ways of creating something there is, and also how many different communities we have, undiscovered communities, unheard communities, communities that don't have a voice in some of the cities or some of the countries. For those communities to give the voice, to be heard and to be seen, I think this contributes towards the tolerance and towards empathy towards others, which I think it's one of the main aims of MagiC Carpets. It's to build this understanding or a vision, let's say, of a European community, that it's tolerant, that it's accepting, that it's empathizing, and it's loving. To work with 15 different partners from 15 different countries, it's a challenge, of course. We always say that when we meet, we're like a big family. Sometimes quite dysfunctional family, but nonetheless a family. It's just life, it happens. And I think they make the bonds between us stronger. Community is still, I think throughout the project, we tried so hard to define what is community. This was a question that came up, I don't know, each meeting that we have. So what is community? What is your community? How do you define community? And I think Louis Biggs made a very good point.
Quite an important part of my role, particularly in the early stages, was to try to calm things down and to help the curators understand that they were doing the right thing. They were okay. Everything is allowed because you need to try a wide range of. There is no correct way of doing what has to be done. You can develop audiences in many different ways.
Maybe we don't need to define community because community can change. If people live in a certain place, some people move out, new people move in. If it's a community of interest, maybe people lose interest in that particular topic, or maybe someone discovers this interest. And I think this is a good thing, that we don't set in stone that community is this, and we're going to work with community that only fits this definition. I think the definition has to be open. I think I have this wow moment a lot. I noticed the change in curators and their approach, having gone through that process, to see how the curators are forming the concept, how they are presenting their ideas, what they want to achieve. I think they have a lot of confidence in what they are doing. They have learned to kind of conceptualize a project, to structure a project. Now they know very well how to manage the relationship between the artist and the community, because this was a big uncertainty at the beginning, because I don't think that most of the curators had this experience before of mediating between the artist and the community. Each project on its own, it's like a wow experience when you hear about it.
Life would be so boring if everybody did things in the same way. Diversity is really fundamental to cultural as an activity. I hope that the lesson taken away by everybody from the experience of going through magic carpets is to say, wow, there are so many wonderful ways of doing things out there, including mine. And that's a good place to be.
When I think about my journey with Magic Carpet in Italy, the first thing I think about, or basically is a feeling of warmth. It was such a warm place. Basically it was extremely heat. There was strong sun, but also the people were so warm and so nice. We had such a short time and we were so quickly together. This is what really struck and stayed in my heart. I must say that in the aftermath, something very deep changed in my expectation of what participation is as an artist with other people. And I think there is a need, for me at least, to make a distinction between participative projects, where I work with people and do something with them, and the art I'm doing. It's a little bit different, and it doesn't need, because if I do an art project, I need to bend everything so it goes into my art project. Whereas if you have true participation, you don't know where it comes, and you have to have this open, because that's where the real magic happens.
I came in here and then I saw a photograph of me. I guess all people have the same feeling, like it's not a look in the mirror, it's like something from the past. With every project you do, with every travel you do, you grow your personality in a way, and for sure it was important to me to grow as a person, as an artist, as a crafting man, as a thinker.
So this is important to me. This is Mary's work, and this is important to me because we took part in her workshop in Folkestone, and actually one of these tiles has my baby's foot imprinted on it.
Seeing these pictures and being in this gallery space now and seeing the enormity of the project is huge, really, because when you're doing your residency, I don't think I really understood fully the breadth of Magic Carpets and how big and nebulous it is.
It was an amazing time. When I see the photos, I remember how we transport the piece to the spot where it will be presented with Charlie in the box. That was a nice moment.
If I have to write a postcard to my Magic Carpet partners, I shall start by dearest, dearest friends.
I would wish for another Magic Carpets project, I guess. Magic Carpets 2.0, maybe. I think that's what I'd wish for.
I really appreciated the presence of all people in this project in my life.
Toliau skraidyti tais stebuklingais kilimais, kurie galėtų atverti plačias galimybės ne tik kūrybai, bet ir kolaboracijai.
I really hope that all the team members from Magic Carpet can continue their work and explore depths of power of being in a community, and I really wish them, all the best and hope to work with them again.
Every time feel this support of the network that we built in the Magic Carpets. So I would say, friends, I would like to see you anytime, anywhere.
Dear Magic Carpet riders, I wish you on your journeys good crossings, and may the threads of our carpet slowly open and lie over the continents we're crossing and tighten and make one big carpet with a lot of holes, loops, knits, knots, and whatever that may stay in our hearts.